Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, one other thing is a revolution. Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off. No nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men follow reader. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
Gloves Off is always on point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.
For 30 years, Buitron Academy has produced great fighters, peace officers, firemen, and many great citizens of Laredo. We teach various martial arts, savate, kempo, capoeira, each in their own traditions, trajectory, history, and pedagogy. Buitron Academy is the first school of savate in the United States, the first capoeira movement in Texas, the first Kempo school in Laredo. What will one expect to see at Buitron Academy? Respect, fellowship, coordination, skill, and self-defense. Buitron Academy is located at 220 West Hillside Road.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off. I'm Professor Buitrón. I'm here with Pastor Frank Pomeroy, who's running for Texas Senate. How are we doing today?
Doing very well, thank you.
How's your drive down here to Laredo?
This was one of the most beautiful days for a drive that you could imagine. The sun came up beautiful. It was a wonderful drive today.
And how's the campaign going along? Last time we talked, you came in and you had just signed your name on the dotted line, and now you're moving forward. How do you feel South Texas? How South Texas treating you?
You know, I've learned a lot in the last 3 months that I have been running. An incredible amount of information, especially down here in South Texas. But the people as a whole have just welcomed me with open arms. I'm learning to preach and speak through a translator. I wish I paid more attention to my Spanish when I was in college, but it's coming. I can read it. I just have to learn to speak it. But doing very well.
Well, being down here, you're going to end up picking up words here and there, and I guarantee you in a little short while, you're probably going to be speaking as well.
I hope so.
And you're running for Texas Senate, right?
District 21, that is correct.
What is the boundaries? What are the towns that are involved with your district?
I have everything from a little bit of Austin and San Antonio, all the way through Floresville and Port Aransas, all the way down into Laredo, Zapata, and everything in between, Hebronville, Catula, Freer. Many of these towns all throughout South Texas are within this district.
And seeing the differences, because South Texas, Laredo, certainly has certain differences from Austin and so on and so forth. So you have a grand variety of issues that are coming in now. One of the major issues that we're faced here in Laredo is building of the security of the border wall, or fence, or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people that are for it, some people that are against it, and it's been touching the feelings on both sides for a good while now. What's your feel on it?
Well, when it comes to the border wall, the first thing I always make sure people understand is that is a federal issue, and I'm running on a state ticket. So there's not a whole lot of say that I can have into the building of a wall or not. Now, I will say, on my personal opinion, people come to me and they are worried about border security. They don't, especially since the first of the year, the battles that's been transpiring over across the border, they're worried about spillover coming over onto this side, and the human trafficking and also the drug trafficking. They're torn and they're living in a state of fear, but they don't know what to do because they don't want this big wall right through their town. So I am thinking we need the wall. We need something to separate. But that wall, when it comes to Laredo, I think that we have great architects. We have great individuals who can put together a fence so that it's not oppressive or demeaning in any way, and then add to that tactical surveillance, whether it be from satellite, whether it be from boots on the ground. We have the capabilities today to do something that's not inhibitive to the looks and the semantics of the city, and still be able to protect that border. But we need to do something so that the people on the Laredo, United States side of that river do not feel like they have to lock their doors and live in fear of what's going to spill over that border.
You know, you're correct, because we do have violence in Nuevo Laredo, we do have violence in Mexico, and it's been going on for at least 20 years now, and 18%, or 20, because we're in 2020 now. But there was a huge growth of what I call drug war refugees that came over to Laredo. A lot of great families from the Nuevo Laredo side moved over to Laredo because they were being extorted and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Going on and down the line. There was a lot of issues because of that. There's a lot of drug contraband going both ways, with the money going back and the drugs. So it is a hot spot. What I've seen is that there's a lot of people that become public officials and kind of obscure that from their mentality and vision. That's not happening. And it is happening. It affects our youth here.
Absolutely.
Especially when our youth are being used as runners.
Absolutely.
And if you go to a county attorney, I'm pretty sure that they're the ones dealing with it. But again, they're youth, and so their names cannot be mentioned because of certain laws and so on and so forth. So it affects us dramatically. We do need that security. I understand, and I understand your rationale in having a good architect and a good engineer to kind of camouflage or make it less offensive for other people. But again, I say this, you know, they say that we're not, on the Mexican side, a lot of Mexicans are saying we're not being brotherly love, and we're not having that brotherly love of neighborly love, you know, brought forth. But when you look at their fences, I mean, their fences have glass on top of it, and left and right, and they live right next to there. Are they being that neighborly? You know, there's a lot of little changes in there. And I am for the security. I am opposed to drugs, and anything we can do for us to get one kid not hooked on drugs, I'm for it.
You know, brother, one of the things I point out is you spoke correctly when you say that oftentimes politicians, when they feel as though that it's beyond their scope of things, rather than squaring off and attacking it, they'll bleed into the bushes in the background. And not just politicians, that's human nature. I run across this with many people, that there are those who are leaders who want to confront, and there are those who just want to blend in the shrubbery. We need to confront this. One, as you said, brotherly love also means I have the love enough to tell you when you're wrong. I have the love enough to be able to correct the situation, even if you're going to be angry with me for a little while. We need to protect those whom we love from others, outside forces, and sometimes even from themselves, because they don't realize their own ideology may be inviting that's horror to spill over into their own neighborhoods. And as a politician, you have to not worry about what people say is about you, as what are the people saying to you. I want to be protected. I want to be safe. Well, sometimes we have to do things to protect ourselves that are safe, such as a wall. You can do it in the best possible way to make it aesthetically appealing, but it still has to protect in the long run. And that's what's best for the people. Laredo is to protect one to another.
No, you're absolutely right. So there's a lot of feelings towards the wall. And there's a lot of feelings also to another subject, which is the Second Amendment.
Amen.
And in the United States, there's a lot of people that are attacking the Second Amendment. How do you feel about our second and our right to bear arms?
Well, first of all, I think that is a right that's been blessed with us by God, and then put in form on paper in the founding of this country, that we are able to defend ourselves against all things that are coming to harm us. We're guaranteed the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and sometimes you have to protect that right. And that being said, it's one of the issues with my opponent. She has always voted fairly well with the Second Amendment, but the problem I'm seeing today, when we look at the Democratic stage and the blue wave that's swept across our country and what's happening in Virginia as we speak, the Democratic Party has turned away from the people and it's become about their own ideologies. And the sad thing with my opponent is when I look at her voting records and such, I see that she's going with party line now. And as she continues to walk that party line, I'm afraid what's going to happen to our Second Amendment rights here in Texas. And in Texas, we need to secure and protect this way of life that's made. I believe that exceptionalism, I think Texans have a very unique way of living. We have grown up with a lifestyle of taking personal responsibility and accountability, which gives integrity and morality and strong family values. And if we don't protect that, and that means with our two Second Amendment rights sometimes, if we will refuse to protect that, we're going to go down the same hole that we're seeing so much of the rest of the country going into. Texas needs to be the adult in the room, so while the rest of the country keeps throwing their little fit, emotional fit in many ways, in my opinion, Texas needs to stay in a standing of personal responsibility. We need to keep it, I hate to say red, because it's not even Republican, Democrat. We need to be the adult and stand up for what we know to be right.
No, you're absolutely correct, because I've seen a lot of Republicans here that I admired all of a sudden come up with flying a red flag cause, a lot of them, and I'm like, you know what, it's no longer about parties, it's about putting people that have their true integrity inside.
Amen.
You know, and I think that's what's happening. We have to, both parties have to, if you're flying party lines, I think you have to kind of step out of the way and let people that are going to be rational about
Amen.
moving forward inside. Another one, what do you feel about term limits?
Well, I was one of the very first signatories to the term limits pledge that was put forth for the coming legislative cycle. I would hope and pray that it will pass. I think there needs to be term limits, and I'll tell you why, Professor. You take a great person with a good attitude and a good mindset as to what needs to be done, and you put them in office. Well, I'm afraid that even a good person will start thinking about themselves, well, the people need me. And it may be true, but if there is a perpetuity to it, if there is no end to that office, they're going to start doing things they need me. They're going to start doing things to get me elected. They're going to start looking at how can I continue to be reelected, rather than stopping and saying, we the people. What do the people want? See, if I know there's an end to my office, because in Texas, really the country, but especially in Texas, well, this is supposed to be a position of service. We were supposed to leave our fields and go and give of our time and our money and our power to do what we know to be right to the best of our ability. But if we stay there, we're going to go hungry. We can't get back to our fields again.
Right.
And that's the way it's supposed to be, so that if I know there's an end, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to learn the ropes, listen to the people, pass what legislation needs to be passed, because I know I'm coming out. Now, I had someone tell me in Karnes County just the other day, well, what if you have a good person in office? I'd rather take a chance and pray for a good person to replace them than make a bad person be able to sit there forever. It's worked for our presidential run for all these years. I think it will work for every other office as well.
No, you're correct. Term limits is needed.
Mm-hmm.
And term limits is needed whether, say, it's every 2 years for Senate here in Texas, right?
2 and 4.
2 and 4. So if it happens, then I'd say 8 years maximum, and that's the end of the story.
Or 6 years for a senator.
You know, whichever
Absolutely.
way. And I think we need that, because a lot of people get in there, and we have a lot of people that run for good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And they find out that 2 years down the road comes down, and all of a sudden they say, oh, you have to run for re-election. So they're going to start scrambling for money. They're going to start scrambling to see where they're going to get the money for them to start pushing in there, and guess what happens? Well, contracts get pushed out, whichever way, and all of a sudden you end up kind of walking on the marginal lines of what's good and bad. Some people just walk on the bad side, some people, walk in the middle field,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need to stop. Another question that is always asked, and I see a lot of people talking about, is campaign contributions and what can be done, like a cap. In other words, you can only use $250,000 all across the board. If you're city council, you know what? You can only use $40,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see some of the races that I've seen here, and I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this question. You see a lot of races here that they'll get paid $60,000 a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll spend $200,000 a year on something that they're not going to get their money back invested in. I don't see what's going on, unless something nefarious is going on that we don't see. So I think there has to be a cap on what a campaign can use. What do you think about that?
Carnegie once said, you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you are. And I think there are some very smart individuals out there that could really look into the calculus of campaign finance reform. But the problems you present are absolutely obvious. It's just getting in there and proving and finding where all these loopholes are. That's one of the problems we have when we continually put a law on top of a law on top of a law, that without enacting laws emotionally, such as red flag laws, that's just an emotional outburst to events that have been happening. If we don't stop and really look and discuss and figure out how can we change this, we're going to open more loopholes for people of nefarious causes, or maybe just ignorance. They allow these things to happen. But I do agree with you. I can look at how we're having to run our campaign as opposed to others in the race, if you will, that just have a plethora of money, more money than in my mind. I can't put that many figures together. And you have to wonder, how's that coming from a position of service? I don't know. So I am agreeing that there needs to be some type of campaign finance reform. Do I know the particulars and the intricacies of how to do that? Not yet. When I get up there and be able to see the paper laid out on the table, and they're privy to the same information that those who tend to direct the media has, then maybe we could see where things can change.
Absolutely. The other question that I'm going to ask you is, why would you step up and sign your name?
Well, as I said, brother, I feel as though I'm looking at the direction that this party is going, and I'm looking at the exceptionalism and the integrity and the moral character and value that made us who we are is being washed away. Masculinity is being eviscerated. We are being told that you can't stand for anything anymore. You have to fall under the government lines, the big government mentality. We know what's best for you. And that's just wrong. We were coming to be as a country because men and women chose to make a stand and make a living out of this dirt that nobody else could grab a hold of maybe, and build our families up and look to one another and strengthen one another. And as this wave sweeps across the country, as I said a moment ago, I think that Texas, especially in the census year, we're going to gain 3 more congressional seats. If we allow Texas to flip blue and go down that same rabbit hole, I'm afraid we'll never be able to bring it back. And the same silly laws that are eviscerating masculinity and eviscerating the family values and morality and character and training us that we can't even use pronouns. We don't even know which bathroom we're supposed to go to anymore. If we allow that to take over in Texas as well, what have we done for our grandchildren that will be raised up behind us? We need to get back to teaching character, teaching integrity, teaching our young men and women to grow up and understand that's going on out there, that's temporary. That's going to be destructive and it's corrosive. You hold to your integrity. You know, I raised my kids, Professor, your word is the only thing that can never be stolen from you. You're the only one that can give that away. So if you choose to give it away and destroy it, that was your choice. And therefore, we all need to make that stand again that we are about who we say we're about. And then, I want to do a quick part B, if you will, to that question. Why do I feel as though that I signed the line? When I saw the things, the real catalyst was when Beto chose not to put aside his campaign to bring in a foundation of healing for those people in El Paso, then Midland and Odessa after those shootings. I thought, there is a man that is caring all about himself rather than others. And we are to be about looking beyond ourselves and what can we do for our brother if we really want a good community. And I thought somebody needs to step up. Win, lose, or draw, I know that I'm very, this sounds arrogant, I don't mean it to, but it's very hard to intimidate me. I'd rather face the issue at hand, just like we did in Sutherland Springs. We're going to face this, we're going to get through it, and we're going to look to the Lord, and God brought us through it. And I think God can do the same thing in Laredo and the border and everywhere else. If somebody will have the backbone to stand up and say, we're going to attack this, we're going to clean this up, we're going to make change come to be, and not change in some weird person's ideology. We're saying change it back to what we were brought up with.
Absolutely. You know, those are good words. And you bring up something else when you say about changing for people standing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we live in the border. We've been in Laredo for the longest time. I was born here. The majority of our city councilmen are from Laredo, and the majority. And we're born here, if not they immigrated here, right? Our commissioners and so on and so forth. And now they're arguing about a wall that really belongs to the federal government. But the main issue is immigration laws that they haven't changed in 30 years. And in 30 years, those same people that are there in the office, the ones before that, they never once questioned the Congress, U.S. congressmen, U.S. senators, and said, you know what, we need to fix our immigration laws.
Absolutely.
Not once.
Absolutely.
So all of a sudden now they say we're going to put up a fence. Oh, you're intimidating. Well, there was a reason behind that. You all have the power right now, like you all are suing the government for the wall. You all also have the power. You could have done something and say, you know what, Laredo's going to face you guys and say, you know what, we need better immigration laws, and they better be done now, instead of you all wasting our time with some bogus impeachment.
You know, you think about it, if you get wounded in a battle, or not battle, you get wounded, period. Sure. If you don't take care of that and it starts turning into a rot, well, you could have stopped it, but now it's going up your finger.
Sure.
Well, you still don't do anything, so now it's engulfing your hand, and your hand's getting bad, and you finally go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you should have came in a long time ago. Now I'm going to have to take your arm. Well, I want to keep my arm. It's ugly not to have my arm. I have to have my arm. it's too late. Your arm's already rotted. We got to do this to save your life, and then we'll see what we can do to the best of our ability to replace and get the things going. Our immigration system should have been tackled a long time ago when we saw that the cut was bleeding. Now we've gotten to a position, we have to have the wall. That doesn't mean we don't still continue to heal the rest of the immigration. We still need to address the immigration process. I got a good friend, Cody, who just was naturalized. Praise God for that. She is excited. There is a proper channel, but we should make it easier. And we should make it, there's many rules that should go into changing. Again, I'm going to go back to the people who are smarter than I am phrase in the federal government. I won't have a lot of say in that from the Texas side, but I sure can squawk and try to remind our congressman, whoever gets elected, if it's Sandra who's running against Henry Cuellar, I have a great relationship with her. I can tell her, hey, you need to keep bringing up immigration reform. You need to fix the blood flow. You need to fix the wound. We're going to put up the wall because we need to do that to save our citizens, but fix the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you don't have an opponent on the Republican side.
For primary, I do not.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into the general, which is going to be in November. And so you got a lot of running around to do and a lot of people to meet. Out of all of South Texas, which one would you say was a favorite place? Let's look at that.
The favorite place I've been in South Texas?
Yeah.
Well, it's been Laredo. It really has. In fact, we're coming down next month for the Washington Parade and the Jalapeno Festival and such. And we decided to come down early, and we're going to camp out at the lake down there, just so we can because we like it. We're going to camp out on the lake. We're going to cook hot dogs in between. We're going to go and see people. We're enjoying coming down here. Like I said, the ride down here with the sunset and everything was just beautiful. And two, I want people to know that I'm here, because the other thing, Professor, I'm seeing is so many people are afraid. They've lived so long under some type of oppression, whether it be in elections or whatever, and there are those who are asking me, you live away. Are you going to stay here for us once the election's over? Absolutely. I want them to know that little 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive, this is the 21st century. It's not that big a deal anymore.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for standing up, and God bless you.
Amen.
And anything else you would like to tell your constituents?
Just keep looking up, keep putting your hope and your faith in something greater and bigger than yourself. Don't feel defeated. No matter how bad it may seem like you're going down, you keep looking up and you'll keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Folks, that's it for Gloves Off today, and you all be safe. Have a great weekend, and see you the next time. Peace.
All right.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off. is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by The Best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.